Welcome, age of vintage society. Max von Sydow, the self-described shy boy turned actor, known to art house audiences through his work with Swedish director Ingmar Bergman, and later to moviegoers everywhere when he played the priest in the horror classic The Exorcist. His career spanned 60 years and over 120 film roles. How Max von Sydow showed up in the most unexpected places. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Max von Sydow, the shy boy turned actor. The Swedish actor Max von Sydow first entered the consciousness of moviegoers as the medieval knight playing chess with death in Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. For a significant portion of his 6 decades on screen, he has been the greatest actor alive. During his decades-long career, he earned 2 Oscar nominations for his lead role as a picked-on Swedish immigrant to a Danish farming community in Billy August's 1987 drama Pelle the Conqueror, and then as a mute old man in Stephen Daldry's post-9/11 drama Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Von Sydow's career spanned 65 years, and the actor worked across genres in American and European cinema, including acclaimed art house, Hollywood blockbusters, television and video games. There's no question that the late actor Max von Sydow was one of the greatest actors of his generation. Born into a wealthy family on the Swedish coast, von Sydow studied at the National Drama School before meeting Bergman in 1955. The two collaborated in theatre before embarking on a series of influential films that increased in reputation worldwide, beginning with The Seventh Seal, and then The Magician, The Virgin Spring, and Wild Strawberries. Swedish actor Max von Sydow was born Carl Adolf von Sydow in Lund, Sweden on the 10th of April 1929 to Margareta Rapp and Carl Wilhelm von Sydow. His mother was a teacher and his father a university professor. His father had some German ancestry on his paternal side. Von Sydow became interested in acting when he was in his teens and was in an acting club with other students in high school. Max von Sydow was a pupil at Lund Cathedral School, did his national service, and then studied drama at the Royal Dramatic Theatre in Stockholm. He made his screen debut in Only a Mother, followed by Miss Julie, both directed by Alf Sjöberg. Von Sydow relocated to Malmö, Sweden in 1955. He was introduced to the film director Ingmar Bergman and worked under his direction at the Malmö Municipal Theatre. After making his Hollywood debut playing Jesus Christ in George Stevens's 1965 biblical epic The Greatest Story Ever Told, he became a fixture in American cinema. He had a memorable role as a tortured man of the cloth in 1973's The Exorcist, as well as key performances in 1975's 3 Days of the Condor, 1982's Conan the Barbarian, Woody Allen's 1986 drama Hannah and Her Sisters, 1990's Awakenings, and Steven Spielberg's 2002 blockbuster Minority Report. He was often typecast in Hollywood as the sophisticated villain, which the Associated Press said was down to him being tall and lanky, with sullen blue eyes, a narrow face, pale complexion, and a deep and accented speaking voice. But he once said in an interview, "What I as an actor look for is a variety of parts. It is very boring to be stuck in more or less one type of character." Describing him in 2007, the Los Angeles Times wrote, "Von Sydow is an inherently imposing screen presence with distinctive chiselled features, but in person he is a warm, unpretentious man, profoundly grateful for a career that he himself refuses to consider remarkable." As an experienced actor, Max von Sydow played many roles in all genres, but it's the ones where we didn't expect him that are the most memorable. As his career progressed, and particularly in the last 20 years, we've seen him pop up in all sorts of films and television series, sometimes in the most unexpected places, whether it's a historical drama series set in the Renaissance or a space opera set in a galaxy far, far away. Here are many of Max von Sydow's most unexpected appearances on screen. Max von Sydow was probably a rather unorthodox role to play Jesus, but famed Western director George Stevens clearly felt that the Swedish actor brought just the right amount of otherworldly beauty to the role. Indeed, in a film that is both far too long and too full of random celebrity cameos, von Sydow is the best thing about it. He somehow manages to bring out the fundamental humanity of Jesus as well as his transcendent spirituality. The fact that his appearance in this film is so unexpected makes his success all the more extraordinary. There aren't a whole lot of good things to say about Ridley Scott's medieval epic about the most famous bandit in history. Somehow it just seems to lack the heft of some of his other efforts, and Russell Crowe just seems to be rehashing a lot of his earlier performances. Nevertheless, Scott made a good choice in casting as the father of the title character. It seems like if you need a veteran actor who can easily portray an older, wise figure, you don't need to look any further than Max von Sydow. While The Exorcist is rightfully regarded as one of the best horror films ever made, and a classic film in its own right, the same cannot be said of its sequel, which has gone down as one of the worst films ever made. In fact, it might be said that the only redeeming thing about it is Max von Sydow, who reprises his role from the original film. It's rather unexpected to see an actor of his stature return for a subpar sequel, but somehow he manages to make it work. There are many things to note about the film Conan the Barbarian, not the least of which is the fact that Max von Sydow makes an appearance. He portrays the character of King Osric, who sends Conan on a mission to recover his daughter. Apparently von Sydow was brought into the film to help inspire Arnold Schwarzenegger, though there are rumours that von Sydow didn't particularly commit to his role. However, even a von Sydow that is phoning in his appearance is still worth it, even if the rest of the film is high camp. Somehow von Sydow just keeps turning up in fantasy and science fiction films that seem to be out of his wheelhouse. In this case he appears as the character Ming the Merciless, the villain of the film who decides out of boredom that he will destroy the world. Despite the fact that the film wasn't particularly well received by critics, the lead actor was even nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award. Many were impressed by von Sydow. Even in a film as campy as this one, von Sydow's talents continued to shine on the screen. When you think of an actor with the noted stature of Max von Sydow, you probably don't think of a film like Rush Hour 3. Nothing against it, it's just that you don't necessarily expect to see von Sydow showing up. What makes the veteran Swede such a fantastic actor, however, is his willingness to commit to a role, no matter how out of the ordinary it might be for him. Whenever he appears on the screen, you can't help but feel your eyes drawn to him, and he owns every minute of it. What can you say about David Lynch's adaptation of the enormously popular Frank Herbert novel? It is certainly a visually interesting film, with some truly bizarre casting choices. One of the few that makes any sort of sense is the appearance of von Sydow as the relatively minor character Dr. Kynes. Though his appearance is a relatively minor one, it's a rare moment of sanity in a film that is full of crazy moments. There's even a moment where a character has to milk a cat-like creature. Entertaining it might be, but The Tudors is not the most historically accurate of series. Taking as its subject the marital troubles and trials of the virile King Henry VIII, the series lasted for 4 seasons on Showtime, and managed to give quite a bit of screen time to all of his wives. No mean feat when there's 6 of them. So, where does von Sydow fit in? He appeared in the 3rd season as Cardinal Otto Truchsess von Waldberg, a venerable cleric who schemes against Henry as a result of the latter's split from the Catholic Church. You know that a Star Wars movie is gunning for cultural respectability when it hires an actor of von Sydow's calibre. Though he only appears for a few moments at the very beginning of Star Wars The Force Awakens, von Sydow manages to own every single second that he appears on the screen. Say what you will about the merits or lack thereof, von Sydow manages to elevate the film just by appearing in it. Somehow he also succeeds in maintaining his dignity in his death scene and showing us just how ruthless Kylo Ren is. Von Sydow also voice acted on video games including Ghostbusters, the video game. Max von Sydow made numerous appearances on television from 1957 onwards, including television films and guest starring on various television shows. He continued working well into his 80s, but his career took a downturn in the 1980s when he appeared mostly in insignificant character roles. He had memorable moments in films such as Never Say Never Again, Dreamscape, and Snow Falling on Cedars. He appeared as the Three-Eyed Raven in the 6th season of Game of Thrones. Von Sydow was the absolutely perfect person to play this part, given his gravitas as a screen presence. You can easily believe that this is a figure that has seen the ways in which the past, the present, and the future interweave. Max von Sydow's first wife was Christina Ollin. They had 2 sons, Henrik and Klaas. He later married French filmmaker Catherine Breillat. They have 2 sons, Cedric and Iban. Max von Sydow died in his adopted home of Provence, France on March 8, 2020, at the age of 90. Every shaky gesture, every splenetic outburst, every attempt to draw himself up, as he once did, and assert his flagging pride, tells a story about the discontents of mortality, and you find yourself wondering, how does von Sydow know so much? Did he make a deal with the devil? Or did his opponent in the 7th Seal whisper in his ear after the game was over? No, it's just the sort of imagination that some actors, a very few, are blessed with. There's Laurence Olivier, of course, in the silent era Lillian Gish, Marlon Brando, and Max von Sydow. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Max von Sydow after a career spanned 60 years and over 120 film roles?